In the constantly changing world of fundability, the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs and real estate investors like us, ones who want to grow our businesses and who are tired of paying for really expensive alternative lending, how do we tap into the most inexpensive money available and do it without the hassle of typical borrowing? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. Welcome to the Get Fundable podcast with your host, Merrill Chandler.
Welcome, everybody. Merrill Chandler here, your host of the Get Fundable podcast. In this episode, I'm telling you, we're taking it all on. We're taking on fraud, fake social security numbers, CPNs, what are called credit protection numbers. We're even taking on ITINs, the tax numbers used by foreign nationals, but happen to be used by fraudsters to establish the attempt to establish bona fide Social Security replacements so that people can try and dodge their debt. You're going to learn the truth about it all. We will see you in a moment. All right, welcome back. I just like I said in the intro, we are going to do a deep dive on this whole idea of CPNs, right? And ITINs and social security numbers and what fraudsters are doing. And this is so much fun, you guys. And there are still so many myths out there about all of this stuff. And this is the truth you trust, right? We're here to kind of get away from all of the BS and take a look at what's actually going on out there. So 3 things we're going to be discussing and how they relate to each other: social security numbers and how they're created, what they mean, how they're used. We're going to talk about CPNs, credit protection numbers or credit profile numbers, how they're used, and the fraudster nature of them. And then we're going to talk about ITINs that are sometimes used in fraud, but are actually legitimate numbers. We'll go through it all. So let's get this thing started. First, your social security number, that 9-digit number that everybody has been using and everybody thinks they need in order to help track you. It's one of the indicators that they search to establish your identity, right? And if we're looking at on your PBID, your personal borrower identity, and it's name, address, phone number, social security, and date of birth. Those are the big 5, right? Those are the big 5 identifiers. And the more consistent we are, the more clear, right? I always say that your identity, which your social security number plays an important role, your identity is the gatekeeper to your funding. So what is the social security number? Well, first of all, it was created. It was created back in the 30s, 1930s. I better date that correctly for future viewers. It was created in the 30s as part of the Social Security Administration to create long-term well-being savings accounts for workers, right? Wage earners. Now, interestingly enough, the 9 digits are split up into 3 groups, and I'm going to share with you exactly what that looks like, because the 3 groups actually have a meaning. There's an intention behind these 3 groups. The first 3 digits is designed. They're an area number, usually state, but it could be, as we'll see in a moment, it could be used for the possessions or different parts of the world where we have major influence, and there's a lot of individuals who are citizens, right? Territories and possessions. So it's an area number, the first 3. The second 2 is referred to as a group number, but many people mistakenly identify that group number with being in your state and then generations in the state. Well, so we're going to kind of blow up that myth, because it has nothing to do with the age of your person or your generation. It has to do with how fast blocks of the last 4 digits have been gone through. So what do I mean by this? Let me pull up another form. This one was done, and take a look at it, because and for those of you who are listening, I'm gonna read everything that I possibly can to make sure that you can hear what I'm saying. But we're looking at a document that actually breaks down. This is a Social Security document from the Social Security Administration, and it is a document that really reviews. Let's blow it up just a little further for you guys. And you can go to getfundablepodcast.com to see the video and or the pages that will be in the blog version, the written version of this. But you'll notice that Alabama is the area number relates with Alabama. Alaska is 574. Alabama is 416 to 424 as the first group of numbers. California is 545 all the way through 573, and now those got all used up, so they went to 602 to 626. So this is very important. People are like, what the hell is he talking about? These are important things to understand, because when it comes to CPNs and ITINs and fraudulent use of 9 numbers, some even use an EIN. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're buying the BS that's being sold by credit repair companies and fraudsters out there, they're literally going to give you away when you say that your birth state was California, but you have a 274 first 3 digits of your Social Security number. Fraud right there, caught in the act, because nobody in California has a 274 prefix for the first 3 digits, right? So that's why it's vital. Florida is 261 to 267, and then went to 589 to 595. So these ranges are for the state, the area that you got your Social Security number in. Most hospitals won't let you leave the hospital with your child until you filled out a Social Security number. I got my Social Security number. I'm old school baby boomer. I got my Social Security number when I applied for my first job. So anywhere between 0 months and 16 or first job is typically when most of us have gone and acquired got our Social Security numbers and filled out the application. But the interesting part is, like, all my children, every one of them couldn't leave the hospital until we filled out their I think it's SS4, their Social Security card application. So now, what about the group number? Now, the group number is super interesting, because many people have said, oh yeah, you're in the state, but what generation were you assigned? You're born in the 60s, you're going to have X numbers. You're born in the 70s, you're going to have Y numbers. And they're not related. They are not specifically related. What they are groups of numbers that when you run out of the number, they bring in the next set of numbers in that second place, the 2-digit middle numbers. The fascinating thing about that is that they can kind of be related to generations, because in that state, births in that state, because you're turning through these. Now, I've got a document that I want to show you about these middle numbers, and it's pretty fascinating, because these numbers, here we go. So these middle numbers, take a look on this section. I'm going to blow this up big so that we can see it really, really well. All right. So now this is the second page of that document that I just showed you. Notice that the top right-hand column, it says that the last 3 of the each state goes through all of its area numbers with groups number 1 through 9,999. So it'll start out with 01 as the middle number. And when 01 and the last 4 digits, like I'm 9, let's see, 9449. So 01, and then all the numbers from 0 to 9999 are done before it goes to 02. So, I'm going to pull this up so that we can show everybody and take a look at what this means. First and foremost, getfundablepodcast.com is where you can see all of this, because this is important, but I'll describe it to everybody who is listening. So imagine your first 3 digits. Let's call it 333. And 333, let's see where 333 comes in. We're just going to call it 333. 333 looks like it's in 503. I want to take the time to do this right. 333 is, yes. Okay, we're going to call it 509. 509 is in Kansas. So the first digits of your Social Security, let's call it 509. 509, right? And then there's 2 more, and then there's 4 more. So 509 says what state you're in. And let's say that we're just going to kind of go through time on this. And let's say that this is 3231. Well, every single Social Security number will start out at 01. And then they will assign like 1111 all the way to 9999. Everybody with me? It'll start at 1111 and go through 9999. And right now, this individual is in Kansas. He's in the first group, and this was his 4-digit number in between these two. Interestingly enough, check it out. Once you go from here to here, when you go from 1111, you go through all 4 of those last digits, then you start over with a 02, and it'll start back baby by baby, application by application. Then you start at 111 again and go through 9999 again. All right. And so every single one of these, I'm checking to make sure the last 4 digits, I misspoke. It's 0001. So it starts out at 0001 and goes through 9999. All right. So take a look at this now. We're going to go through 03 and go through 0001 through 9999 and then 04, etc. Now, here's they did this to keep integrity. Their rationale is to keep integrity within the Social Security number administration process. But once you get to serial numbers, once you get to 09, then it transfers to these are odd numbers: 01, 03, 05, 09, and then it goes to 10 through 98 in even numbers. These are odd numbers. So they mix it up. Odd numbers through 09, and then 10 through 98 is even numbers. And then the next group, remember, it's still all Kansas. But then in the next group, then we're going to go to, after we hit 98, then we're going to go through 02, 04, 06, 08, and then we're going to go, and then it goes through, just like here, then we're going to go through 11, and this is even. Then we're going to go through 11 through 99, odd. Now, I'm only saying this is all background information to prove the point that I'm going to be making in a few minutes, guys. But the point is that there is rhyme and reason for doing this up until 2011. And most people out there, this is why this is the truth you can trust. because there are so many myths. This operated for what, almost 80, from 2000, from the 1930s through 2011. This was exactly how it operated. Then in 2011, they made a new policy change. And that new policy change, so let me give you a summary. This is a document that says high group list. High group list means this process and other ways to determine if your Social Security number is valid. They have lookup tables to see if it's valid. Now, if they can put this on a website for consumption, then that means every single database used by lenders, by underwriting, etc., they're going to use the exact same lookup tables to see if a Social Security number is valid. All of this is going to be in crystal clear why I'm bringing up these details in a moment. But this is how they do it through, look at that, through June 25 of 2011. So what happened after 2011? Well, I want to show you a final document, because this is what they do now. It's called, after 2011, in 2011, there is what's called the Social Security number randomization. And the Social Security number randomization is designed to establish the longevity, but it still uses some of the same structure that was done here. It's just now these are randomized. Your middle numbers, your last numbers are all randomized. And so, and proposals exist such that they will get rid of the state in its entirety. But you guys, the whole point of going through this exercise is to share with you that the fraudsters have just thought that it's easy pickings to pick any kind of Social Security number and have it be usable. So let's get to that point now. I'm going to dip this out and bring this back. Now, here's where the challenge comes in. Let's take a look at, so now they're randomizing Social Security numbers as of 2011, right? But what's going on with that? There's a thing called CPN, and it's been touted to be it's like credit protection number or a credit profile number. These are fake. This is a fake construct. People have said that, oh yeah, you can ask your attorney to go get a CPN from the Social Security Administration. No, CPNs do not exist. They've been touted as a way that Obama or the Senate and the House, senators and congressmen and women, that people that are visible can use these numbers in order to not show their Social Security number. And you guys, all of it completely fake, complete BS. You heard it here first. The point is that these CPNs are actually kind of back office where credit repair companies and individuals who sketchy fraudsters will offer. And you could Google CPN and it'll say you can buy CPNs for hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. Don't do it, because they're not real. And what they have done is they have gone back and they have looked for deceased persons or young children and are using that child's Social Security number to give it to you, the buyer of fraudulent goods. Now, every one of these, there is in the Social Security marketplace, there is a legitimate way to get a new Social Security number. But you guys, it's not a CPN. It's not a consumer profile number or consumer protection or credit protection number. A new SSN can be done on these 5 reasons. That sequential Social Security numbers assigned to members of the same family are causing problems. You can go back to the Social Security office and say, hey, my twin and I are one number apart because you left the hospital with filling out applications and you got assigned a different number. And let's say it, as crazy it is, there's Alexander and there's Alexandria, and now they both go by Alex. That is a reason why you can have your Social Security number updated or changed. Again, you're not getting a CPN. You're getting a new Social Security number that still fits the model. Now, if it comes to be found out that more than one person is assigned or is using the Social Security number, Social Security number office runs into all kinds. We're working with the FBI and Homeland Security, find innumerable Social Security numbers that are being used twice because they've been fraudulently sold as CPNs. Follow me? Everybody with me? The next one is a victim of an identity theft that is having ongoing issues because of their original Social Security number. If you have it done once, they're not going to give you a new Social Security number. But if for some reason somebody keeps using yours over and over and over, and you clean it up and they use it again, clean it up and use it again, you have the right to go get a new Social Security number. And then someone who is being harassed, abused, or their life is in danger. This is where WITSEC, Witness Protection Programs, government, federal law enforcement agencies are looking to build an identity for somebody, or they're trying to protect somebody in custody or a witness, etc. So if they're being harassed, abused, or their life is in danger, that is a legitimate, according to the SSA, that's a legitimate and viable reason to have a new Social Security number assigned. And then there's religious or cultural objections to numbers or digits in your original Social Security number. Now, this one was interesting because if you don't want, let's say your religion doesn't like the number 8 and you have even 1-8, you can ask for it to be to get a new Social Security number that doesn't include the number 8. Now, so how do we go from Social Security numbers to these CPNs? Well, take a look at this. This is crazy talk, right? So I'm going to read this with you. I'm going to share it with you online as well. But do you realize that their Ancestry.com has a way to look for Social Security numbers based on name and date and age of birth? And it's through 2007, meaning they could have died anytime between 1936 and 2007. You can start randomizing and looking up. People can, programmers can do a program to just start using common names, David Smith, blah, 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 and be able to establish and find valid Social Security numbers that belong to either an infant or a deceased person. All of this creates, you guys, problems if we're not vigilant in trying to create the clarity. Remember, our personal borrower identity is the solution to the identity crisis facing this country with regards to stolen identities and fraudulent applications done in the name of those stolen identities. All right. So CPN, people have used them if you're trying to hide from an old identity. You're trying to change it up, and there are stories, abundant number of stories online that show people who they were literally walked through the process to build a new identity, and then were either arrested or a fraudulent application was and investigations were made to that fraudulent application. You can be a legitimate person, but if you file, it is a federal felony to file a fraudulent application. If they ask for your social security number and you put in any other number than your born social security number, it is a fraudulent application. Straight up, no questions asked. Are we clear? The use of any other number than your social security number is now you can get a new social security number if you meet one of those criteria, but it's now your new legitimate social security number. So it's vital for us to know how the system works and create the protections we need to have that perfect borrower identity. Now, let's go to the so individuals. The CPN is designed to hide from old stuff. There is no fast shortcut, guys, to reestablishing your fundability. Sometimes it may be a couple of years for some of us to reestablish fundability, but it is the only way that I support is to take your current identity, clean up your identity, move through the audit process for accuracy on your profile, remove whatever derogatory accounts do not fit the Fair Credit Reporting Act conditions for being reported, and then build a legitimate profile, even if you took a bath in the past financially. Okay, taking a serious hit. And finally, any one of these, just red alert. Every danger, Will Robinson, danger. You must absolutely understand that misrepresenting your social security number is a felony fraud account. All right. And FICO Falcon, any of you who've been with me and listening to this for a while, FICO Falcon is tracking every digit, everything we put on an application, and they're tracking it over time. And I'm telling you guys, I love it. Some people are like, oh, this Big Brother, where's our independence? Are you kidding me? You're trying to borrow somebody else's money. You get to play the rules. You buy the rules of the game where they're going to give you money. And if you're going to receive money from them, it gets to be on their terms, not on yours. So what do I teach? Everything. My boot camp, my book, everything talks about establishing a borrower identity that is loud and proud. It just stands out there and says, and that's, by the way, how you become bulletproof when it comes to your fundability. But you're standing loud and proud with a single version of your identity that lenders can count on. And then we partner with lenders to establish good faith, and then we play the game by the rules. It's like the NBA recruiting you to play for their team, and then you want to play baseball. That isn't what they hired you to do. You either play basketball or you get off their team and go do whatever the hell you want. But if you're going to play for a basketball team, Citi, Wells, PB&T, US Bank, PNC, if you want to play for an NBA team, you got to play basketball and you got to play it by the rules. But if you become masterful, which is all about fundability, that's my life's work, is making borrowers fundable. If you will master the art of fundability, then they will give you the funding ball over and over and over again, because you score, you make points, you kill it as a player, and they win as a team, and you win as the star borrower. So now the final thing we want to look, so that's CPNs, credit protection numbers, credit profile numbers, blah, blah, blah. It's all BS. It's all fraudulent. And there's not been a single use that didn't include, actually, the CPN was actually somebody else's social security number or an EIN. And we'll discuss EINs on the business section of this in a different broadcast. Now, different episode. Now, Individual taxpayer identification numbers, ITINs, individual taxpayer identification numbers. Now, these are special identification numbers. They are not Social Security numbers because they're reserved for special circumstance by non-resident or resident aliens, people who aren't the formal citizens of the country, and their spouses and dependents, right? So you can't get a Social Security number without meeting certain criteria, citizenship, green card, etc., right? But many people are here, education, for getting educated, working. They're on I want to call it work release, but that's where you are work exchange programs. That's what I'm trying to think of. And so there are ways in which you can create long-term fundability with an ITIN as a non-resident. But it requires building a long-term relationship with a bank. Yes, you can get funded as a foreign national in this country with most of the top-tier banks by building a relationship like we outline in the boot camp. You establish your checking account with the right traffic patterns. You establish a credit card with the right traffic patterns. You have to, but each one of these are staged over time so that they can see your pattern of behavior and fund you accordingly. So the ITIN is formatted like the Social Security number with 9 digits. It's got the dashes in between, the 3, 2, and 4. But all ITNs begin with the number 9. All ITNs begin with the number 9. And the last 3, let's see. And those are reserved for ITNs and are not found in Social Security and not found on Social Security numbers. They're reserved for the ITN status. So if it starts with a 9, it's an ITN. But that's also, if you're just trying to get an ITN so you can have a new 9-digit number that's not linked to your name, fraudsters, then you're going to get caught because 9s represent ITNs, and you should be a non-resident or a resident alien. So, you guys, what's the bottom line here? What's the bottom line here? Do it freaking right. Be patient. All of us, you guys know my story. I crashed and burned, right? And rebuilt my entire borrower identity and my entire financial reputation. And it took me a couple of solid years to get that done. So, but it's worth it. What is 2 years? What is 3 years? What post-bankruptcy? What is 3 or 4 years to then begin to have long-term relationships with the banks who want you to play on their team? Everything we're talking about, this whole idea of falsifying documents to take shortcuts, is getting more and more closed down. FICO Falcon, all over it, you guys, all over it. But I'm saying, let's talk for a second about what cheating actually means. Once you are blacklisted because of fraud, or FICO Falcon has your applications, you become persona non grata. You become worthless to them as a borrower, and they're going to deny you over and over and over and over again. I say, let's together create a path so that you can become fundable, and we walk that path, maybe even together, to establish the right kind of profile, a borrower profile, and the right kind of identity, and the right kind of accounts profile, so that when a lender looks at you, they want to recruit you, they want to put you on their team, and they want to give you the funding ball over and over and over again because you keep delivering. This is Merrill Chandler, your host of the Get Fundable podcast and your guide to the Get Fundable universe. And I'm here to tell you, let's do it right, and let's do it for the long haul. I'll see you on the inside. Oh, and by the way, please rate, review, share, knock it out of the park, guys. Tell us what you think. Share this with people, because you never know who could be Googling something because they want to dodge their old their financial past, and maybe literally walking off a cliff and don't even know it. So please share, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Get Fundable podcast. Please leave comments, because Merrill would love to read about your aha moments from this episode. And be sure to visit getfundable.com to read our blog, get important links, join our community, and much, much more, like ordering Merrill's tell-all book that is changing the world, The New F Word. And you got to tell your friends about this podcast, because we want them to get fundable too.